My name is Klaus Menzel, and I migrated from Germany in 1968. I found a job as a fitter and turner in the mining
Tell me how long you've been on the road.
since 94, what makes it now 15 or 16 years.
Can you give me an idea of where you've travelled around Australia?
We left on the cycle, we left the Barossa Valley in 94. Then we went up through the centre. Uluru, that was my first visit in 94. Then from there up to Katrin, down to Broome, Tailwind, across the Nullarbors, back to the Barossa Valley.
How did you start living this lifestyle? Where did that actually start, this idea that you could do things differently?
In 93, I was working in a place called Useless Loop. I had a contract down there. Doing a break in work, I had to wait for materials. I decided to go down to Kalgoorlie to do a short-term contract in the mining. For that, I had to pass a medical exam, and the doctor quite straight told me, he said, Klaus, you're a walking disaster. High blood pressure, diabetes, and I had high blood pressure all my life, and I didn't really worry about it too much. We went back into family history, and my father died very early, my brother only a few years before, diabetes. And then the doctor said, Klaus, it is somehow in the family, but a lot of it got to do with the lifestyle and your diet. He asked me what is my diet, and I said to him, to eat as much as I bloody can. Wash it down with how many bottles of Coke, maybe have a few beers on bloody top of it. But I like me tucker, and he said, okay, if you don't change your life, you might be worried about your pension. No, don't worry. You will not get there. And I said, okay, I go on a trip around Australia. I cleared a bit of room in my van that the dog could sleep in there and myself. And I left work, went on the phone, and I told the bank manager, I said, listen, mate, don't send me any more letters. If you want the car back, pick it up in Darwin or give me the time to drive it back. It will take me about 3 months. Basically, I put down the phone, and I felt so good at that moment. And then on the way down from Adelaide, I thought about the cycling. And I said, okay, I get rid of the car when I get down there. And I bought this bicycle, built a trailer for the dog. 94, it was all settled. I left Tanunda in the Barossa Valley. And I found after I got rid of it and I started cycling, by the time I reached Uluru and I spent some time over at the Olgas just by myself, I just sat down there and I said, Klaus, this is a life.
So you gave up everything you owned and you narrowed it down to a bicycle, the dog, and just a couple of possessions to get by.
A friend of mine gave me a little solar panel then. I put it on. I wasn't too convinced. Today I'm running everything, including a computer, a 50-litre fridge from the sun over my solar panels.
Let's talk about money. Most people have an idea of what it costs to live in a certain place. You know, you have to maintain the house and the car and all the rest of it. You've given all that up. You've got a pension now. How do you actually get by? I mean, how much money does it cost for you to live?
I stopped at Santa Teresa, what is a small mission near Alice Springs. And I talked to a woman down there, and I told her about what I went through during that time, and that I was planning to cycle around Australia and then might start a business again. And she told me then, she said, Klaus, the cycling is a good idea. But she said, realize you're 45, 50, in your trade, the big earning time is over. Learn to live on about $200, you're home and dry. Oh, then I tried to live on $200. It was hard for a while because a few beers on the way. But again, by the time I reached Uluru, all of a sudden I realized with the $200, and I could live on about $100 a week, I was doing less damage to myself. I could choose jobs like working in communities, but paid very little or nothing. It did not make any difference anymore.
Why would you recommend this sort of lifestyle to other people?
You can go from the high ground and say, okay, I want to protect the environment and I want to do this. Can pretty much only talking about myself. I'm not doing this lifestyle for punishment. I'm doing it because I'm enjoying every minute of it.
How do other people react to your lifestyle when they meet you on the road?
I think in most cases, positive. You get all sorts of people. A few years ago, I was walking with my camels up the Unadata track, and one of them tag-along tours came along. The leader of it stopped. He had come across me before. Klaus, can these people take a few photos? I said, no, nobody's taking photos as long as you let me keep on moving. I got about halfway up in the block. I don't think he could help it. He just jumped up and he just about grabbed me and said, well, what is ambition in your life? And I only could turn around, not to be like you and now bugger off.
Is there anything that you actually miss from your old life?
Yes, I probably missed the time in Tananda when I was singing for the Tananda Liedertafel. But not really. I was only doing that time, I was only singing on Tuesdays, and now I just about sing every day.
Do you find that you do run into enough people that you don't get lonely and that you do have a community of people even though you do travel?
I meet a lot of people on the way, but I also like my own company. But meeting people from time to time also, I got the great advantage just to keep on walking.
What do you do for entertainment?
I love just lying down, watching the stars. And like I said, that's for me entertainment. That also leads me to dreaming. Sometimes I'm walking down the street or cycling, whatever it might be, and I'm miles away.
Let's talk briefly about living standards. I mean, if people are thinking of living an alternative lifestyle, especially like yours, they might think that their living standards are going to drop, especially if they're not living on much money. What's your take on that?
I don't know if I mentioned it beforehand, but I was earning $1,400 up to $2,000 in '94. I worked 70 or 80 hours. I was destroying myself and my marriage during that time. And I found during that time I dropped from, say, about $1,500, I dropped to $150 a week, that my living standard had actually increased.
How?
I had time to go on the beach. I had time to sit by the side of the road when the headwind got too strong to read a book. On the health-wise, with $150 a week, I had no problems with my diabetes. I had no problems with my blood pressure.
And that's because you're walking so much.
If walking, and I think the amount of money I could spend.
And you've got a little van here that's pulled by your 2 camels.
Yeah, this one here I found a few years ago over in Barrow Creek. That's on the way up to Darwin, and it works perfect.
You've got these 2 beautiful camels. How long have you had those?
I got the camels in 2002. I was riding a bicycle, a pretty funny thing. It went on land and water. Then I got into sand dune country, and I was actually quite pleased when the bloke popped along with 6 camels. I left that bicycle boat. We walked back with 14 camels to Queensland, where WIlly was living. At first, I tried to saddle them up. This young Snowy of mine was a total disaster, and he got away with it. WIlly is pulling the cart. Snowy does. Walks along. He's friendly to people as long as they give him the right bloody strokes. But I got him now for 8 years. I've only been away from him for 3 nights. That was horrible. I went to see a good friend of mine in Adelaide, and Norbert said to me, Klaus, after 2 days, you keep looking over your back. You better go back to your camels. And that's now 5 years ago.